Stop right there. Before you put down that apple or push away those grapes because someone told you they're too dangerous for your diabetes, you need to hear this. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. The person who's been walking through the grocery store feeling like a criminal every time you glance at the fruit section. The one who's been told that sweet fruits are your enemy, that they'll send your blood sugar through the roof, that you need to stick to. What? Bland vegetables for the rest of your life? Here's what's breaking my heart, and what should make you absolutely furious. You've been lied to. Not intentionally, maybe, but lied to nonetheless. Because while you've been avoiding some of nature's most powerful diabetes-fighting weapons, thinking they're going to harm you, the latest research is showing something completely different. What if I told you that sitting in your local grocery store right now, probably in the same aisle you've been avoiding, are 5 incredibly common, sweet, delicious fruits that can actually help you crush diabetes? Not manage it, not cope with it, but actively fight it. We're talking about fruits that can improve your insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and help stabilize your blood sugar better than some medications. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on 5 fruits that have been hiding in plain sight. And fruit number 3? When I tell you what recent studies discovered about it, you're going to wonder why your doctor never mentioned this. Even diabetes specialists are calling these results shocking. But here's the thing. I'm also going to expose the fruit products that have been sabotaging your efforts without you even knowing it. The ones marketed as healthy that are actually worse for your blood sugar than candy. If you're tired of feeling restricted, if you're ready to discover how nature's sweetest gifts can actually work for your health instead of against it, then comment "Sweet Freedom" below and hit that subscribe button to Elderly Healthcare. Because what you're about to learn in the next 15 minutes could completely transform how you think about diabetes and food forever. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. So let's get into these 5 common sweet fruits that can help you crush diabetes, starting with one that's probably sitting in your kitchen right now. Fruit number 1, the humble orange. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, wait a minute, my doctor told me citrus fruits are loaded with sugar. And you know what? That's exactly the kind of outdated thinking that's been keeping you from one of your most powerful allies. Here's what the research actually shows. Oranges have what's called a low glycemic index. That's just a fancy way of saying they won't spike your blood sugar like you've been told. We're talking about a rating of only 40 to 43 on a scale where anything under 55 is considered safe for diabetics. But here's the really exciting part. Oranges are absolutely packed with fiber that actually slows down how your body absorbs sugar. And get this, recent studies are showing that the vitamin C in oranges doesn't just boost your immune system. It's actually improving glucose control in people with type 2 diabetes. We're talking about real, measurable improvements in blood sugar management. Now, I know what you're thinking because I've heard it from so many of you. But oranges taste sweet. They must be dangerous for my diabetes. Listen, this is one of those misconceptions that's been hurting people for years. The truth is, whole oranges are actually recommended by the American Diabetes Association as a superfood for diabetes management. Yes, you heard that right, a superfood. But here's the key, and this is crucial. You need to eat the whole orange, not drink orange juice. When you eat one medium orange with all that pulp and those white membranes that some people peel off, that fiber is your secret weapon. It's what keeps your blood sugar stable instead of sending it on a roller coaster ride. And here's a little trick that works beautifully. Pair your orange with a handful of nuts, maybe some almonds or walnuts. The healthy fats and protein in those nuts work together with the orange's fiber to give you even better blood sugar control. It's like nature designed the perfect snack combination. But here's what's really going to surprise you. Oranges aren't the only familiar fruit that's been unfairly banned from diabetic diets. Our next fruit actually contains special compounds that fight the inflammation that makes diabetes worse. And when you hear which everyday fruit I'm talking about, you might just shake your head at how long you've been avoiding it for no good reason. Fruit number 2 is going to absolutely blow your mind, because it's one that almost every diabetic I've talked to has been told to avoid. I'm talking about strawberries. Those beautiful, red, juicy berries that you've probably been walking past in the grocery store, convinced they're nothing but sugar bombs waiting to wreck your blood glucose. Well, here's what's going to shock you. Strawberries are actually one of nature's most powerful anti-inflammatory champions. Inside those gorgeous red berries are compounds called anthocyanins. And before you worry about that fancy name, just think of them as your body's personal inflammation fighters. These compounds don't just slow down how your body absorbs sugar. They're actively working to reduce the inflammation that makes diabetes worse. And here's a study that'll make you want to march right back to your doctor with questions. Researchers followed women for years and discovered that those who ate just 2 or more servings of strawberries every week had a 10% lower risk of developing diabetes. 10%. And for those who already had diabetes, their blood sugar control improved significantly. But wait, it gets better. Strawberries have that same low glycemic index we talked about with oranges, just 40. That means they're actually gentler on your blood sugar than you've been led to believe. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking right now, but they taste so sweet. How can something that's sweet be good for my diabetes? This is where so many people get tripped up. They taste that natural sweetness and immediately assume danger. But here's the truth that might surprise you. Strawberries are actually lower in their sugar impact than many vegetables you're probably eating without worry. The real issue isn't that strawberries are dangerous. The issue is that nobody taught you how to eat them properly. 1 cup of fresh strawberries, that's about 8 medium berries, gives you only 11 grams of carbohydrates. And get this, 3 of those grams are pure fiber that's working to keep your blood sugar stable. Here's how you make strawberries work for you instead of against you. Take that cup of fresh strawberries and pair them with some plain Greek yogurt or a few almonds. The protein and healthy fats create this beautiful partnership with the strawberry's natural fiber, giving you steady energy without the blood sugar spikes you've been worried about. Speaking of unexpected diabetes fighters, wait until you hear about this tropical fruit that's been completely misunderstood. This next one is probably the most controversial on our list, and I guarantee it's going to challenge everything you think you know about fruit and diabetes management. Fruit number 3 is mango, and I can practically feel some of you reaching for the stop button right now. Mango? Are you crazy? That's tropical fruit. That's pure sugar. And honestly, I don't blame you for thinking that, because that's exactly what most people have been taught. But here's where things get really interesting. Despite being one of the sweetest fruits you can imagine, mangoes actually have what scientists call a moderate glycemic index. We're talking about 51 to 56. Now, that's higher than our oranges and strawberries, but it's still well within the range that can work for people managing diabetes when eaten correctly. And here's what's absolutely fascinating. Mangoes contain fiber plus some unique compounds that actually help your body with fat metabolism. But the real shocker came from a recent study that had researchers scratching their heads. They gave people freeze-dried mango powder daily for 12 weeks. And you know what happened? Their blood glucose levels actually improved. These were people dealing with obesity and blood sugar issues, and mango helped them get better control. Now, I know what you're thinking. This goes against everything I've been told about tropical fruits. And you're right, it does. Because here's the truth that nobody talks about. The problem was never the fruit itself. The problem is that everyone assumes tropical fruits are diabetes poison without understanding that it's all about portion size and how you prepare them. Listen to this. A half cup of fresh mango has only 12.5 grams of carbohydrates. That's actually less than what's considered one standard carbohydrate serving for diabetics. Less than 1 serving. You've been avoiding something that, when eaten properly, fits perfectly into a diabetes-friendly eating plan. But here's the crucial part, and I cannot stress this enough. We're talking about fresh mango, never dried mango. Dried mango is a completely different beast that concentrates all those sugars into tiny portions that can absolutely cause problems. Fresh mango, eaten in the right amount and paired correctly, is a completely different story. Here's how you do it right. Take that half-cup portion of fresh mango and pair it with some protein. Maybe some cottage cheese, or a handful of nuts, or even a piece of string cheese. The protein works with the mango's natural fiber to slow down absorption and keep your blood sugar steady. The key is treating mango as part of your carbohydrate allowance for that meal or snack, not as something extra. If you're going to have mango, maybe skip the crackers or reduce your other carbs. It's about balance, not deprivation. But if mango surprised you, this next everyday fruit will completely change how you think about diabetes-friendly eating. This is probably sitting in your fruit bowl right now, and the latest research about what it does for blood sugar control is making doctors rethink everything they thought they knew about diabetes management. Fruit number 4 is the apple, and I'll bet right now you're thinking, really? The apple? That's nothing special. But hold on, because what I'm about to tell you about apples and blood sugar control is going to make you look at this everyday fruit in a completely new way. You see, apples contain something called pectin, and this isn't just any ordinary fiber. Pectin is what scientists call a special soluble fiber that does something remarkable in your digestive system. It actually slows down gastric emptying, which is just a fancy way of saying it keeps food in your stomach longer, releasing nutrients slowly and steadily instead of all at once. And here's where it gets really exciting. Research shows that when people with type 2 diabetes ate apples consistently over time, their glucose tolerance actually improved. We're not talking about a small improvement. We're talking about measurable, significant changes in how their bodies handle blood sugar. Now, I know many of you have been avoiding apples because you think they're too sugary. I hear this all the time. Apples are sweet. They must spike my blood sugar. But here's something that might surprise you. That old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away? It turns out that's actually scientifically backed when it comes to diabetes management, as long as you're eating them correctly. The mistake most people make is thinking that sweet automatically means dangerous for diabetics. But apples have been studied extensively, and when eaten the right way, they're actually one of your best allies for stable blood sugar. Here's the secret that makes all the difference. You've got to eat the skin. I know some people love to peel their apples, but that skin is where most of that powerful pectin lives. When you peel an apple, you're throwing away your best protection against blood sugar spikes. And here's another little trick that can make apples even better for you. Choose apples that are slightly underripe rather than super soft and sweet. As apples ripen, their starch converts to sugar, so a firmer apple will have less impact on your blood glucose. One medium apple equals about 1 carbohydrate serving. And here's what's beautiful about apples. They keep you satisfied for hours. That pectin doesn't just stabilize your blood sugar. It also helps you feel full longer, which means you're less likely to reach for snacks that could cause problems. And our final fruit might be the most shocking discovery of all, because it contains a compound that actually improves insulin sensitivity. When you hear what this everyday fruit can do for your body's ability to process sugar, you're going to wonder why this information isn't shouted from every doctor's office in the country. Fruit number 5 is grapes, and I can already hear the gasps. Grapes? Those little sugar bombs? You've got to be kidding me. But stick with me here, because what science has discovered about grapes and insulin sensitivity is going to blow your mind. Grapes contain something called resveratrol, and this compound has been studied more extensively than almost any other natural substance when it comes to diabetes. And the results? They're nothing short of remarkable. Resveratrol doesn't just help with blood sugar. It actually improves your body's insulin sensitivity and reduces insulin resistance. Now, let me put this in terms that matter to you. When your body becomes more sensitive to insulin, it means you need less insulin to do the same job. Your body becomes more efficient at processing sugar. Think of it like tuning up a car engine. Suddenly, everything runs smoother and more efficiently. Multiple research studies, we're talking about comprehensive analyses of hundreds of diabetic patients, confirm that resveratrol significantly improves fasting glucose levels and insulin function. These aren't small improvements we're talking about. These are meaningful changes that show up in blood work. But here's where most people go wrong with grapes. They get labeled as pure sugar and written off completely. What people don't understand is that the resveratrol in grapes is actually helping your body process sugar more efficiently. The mistake isn't eating grapes. The mistake is eating too many at once instead of using strategic portions. Here's exactly how to make grapes work for you. Limit yourself to half a cup. That's about 15 grapes, and always pair them with some protein. Maybe a piece of cheese, or a handful of nuts, or some Greek yogurt. This combination lets you get all the benefits of that powerful resveratrol while keeping your blood sugar stable. And here's a little insider tip. Choose organic grapes when possible. Organic grapes tend to have higher resveratrol content because the plants produce more of this protective compound when they're not relying on chemical pesticides. Oh, and if you want a diabetes-friendly dessert that'll satisfy your sweet tooth, try frozen grapes. They taste like little popsicles and take longer to eat, which helps with portion control naturally. Now, before you rush to the store to stock up on these 5 fruits, there's a crucial flip side to this story that could make or break your success. Because while these 5 fruits can be your allies, there are some fruit products sitting on store shelves right now. Products that seem healthy, products that are marketed as good for you, that are actually sabotaging your diabetes control without you even knowing it. These hidden diabetes saboteurs are lurking everywhere. And the scary part is that most people think they're making healthy choices when they choose them. Let's start with the biggest culprit, fruit juices, even the ones labeled 100% natural. That morning glass of orange juice you've been drinking, thinking it's a healthy way to start your day? I hate to break it to you, but it's basically liquid sugar without any of the fiber that would protect you. When you remove the pulp and fiber from fruit, you're left with concentrated fructose that hits your bloodstream like a freight train. Here's something that'll shock you. Even 100% pure fruit juice can spike your blood sugar as fast as soda. I know that sounds impossible, but think about it this way. It takes about 4 oranges to make 1 glass of orange juice, but you'd never sit down and eat 4 whole oranges in one sitting. The juice gives you all that sugar without any of the fiber that would slow down absorption. Then we have dried fruits, and this is where people get into real trouble because they seem so innocent. A handful of raisins, some dried cranberries in your salad, a few dates as a snack. They're just concentrated nutrition, right? Wrong. Just 2 tablespoons of raisins contain the same amount of carbohydrates as an entire apple, but without any of the water and fiber that help you feel full and satisfied. It's incredibly easy to overeat dried fruits because they're so small and concentrated. And here's something most people don't realize. The ripeness of your fruit matters enormously. That brown spotted banana sitting on your counter might taste sweeter, but that's because as fruits ripen, their starches convert into simple sugars. A slightly green banana is going to be much gentler on your blood sugar than a soft, sweet, overripe one. The same goes for any fruit. The riper it gets, the more impact it'll have on your glucose levels. But the worst offenders are the processed fruit products. Fruit cocktails, those little fruit cups and syrup, fruit snacks, fruit leather. These are diabetes disasters waiting to happen. They've been stripped of all their protective fiber and loaded with added sugars that will send your blood glucose soaring faster than you can say healthy snack. Here's the bottom line that I need you to understand. Context matters. Your body doesn't just need sweetness, it needs balance. When you choose whole, fresh fruits with their fiber intact, you're getting nature's perfect package. But when manufacturers strip away the fiber and concentrate the sugars, they're removing all of nature's built-in protections against blood sugar spikes. The goal isn't to live in fear of fruit. It's to understand the difference between fruit that works with your body and products that work against it. I know how overwhelming this can feel right now. One minute your doctor tells you fruit is healthy and you should eat more of it. The next minute you're reading articles that say fruit is dangerous for diabetics and you should avoid it completely. Then someone else tells you only certain fruits are okay, but in tiny portions, and suddenly you're standing in the grocery store paralyzed, not knowing what to believe anymore. Listen, I get it. I've talked to thousands of people dealing with diabetes, and this confusion about food, especially fruit, is one of the biggest sources of stress and frustration. You want to take care of your health, but you feel like you're getting mixed messages from everywhere. One day something is good for you, the next day it's not. It's exhausting. But here's what I want you to understand. This isn't about fear anymore. It's not about living in constant worry about every bite you take. What we've talked about today is about making informed choices based on real science, not outdated assumptions or one-size-fits-all rules that don't take your individual needs into account. You now have the knowledge to distinguish between fruit that works for you and products that work against you. When you eat an orange with all its fiber intact, that's working for you. When you drink orange juice, that's working against you. When you eat a cup of fresh strawberries with some nuts, that's supporting your health. When you grab a handful of dried fruit, that's sabotaging your efforts. This isn't about restriction. This is about empowerment through understanding. You're not a victim of diabetes anymore, constantly afraid of making the wrong choice. You're someone who knows the difference between foods that help and foods that hurt. Here's what I want you to do this week. Don't try to change everything at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm and giving up. Instead, start small. Choose one of the 5 beneficial fruits we talked about today. Maybe those strawberries or that apple, and make it part of your routine. And then swap out one problematic fruit product. Maybe replace that morning orange juice with a whole orange, or those dried cranberries with fresh grapes. Small changes create lasting results. You don't have to revolutionize your entire diet overnight. You just have to make one better choice, then another. Because here's what I really want you to remember. Managing diabetes doesn't mean giving up life's sweetness. It doesn't mean living on bland, boring foods for the rest of your years. It means choosing wisely so you can enjoy nature's gifts while supporting your health and feeling your best. You deserve to enjoy food. You deserve to feel confident in your choices. And you absolutely deserve to live well with diabetes, not just survive with it. So let me quickly remind you of what we've covered today, because I want you to walk away from this video with crystal clear action steps. Remember, oranges, strawberries, mango, apples, and grapes are your diabetes-fighting allies when you eat them fresh and in proper portions. These aren't foods to fear. They're tools in your diabetes management toolkit. But avoid fruit juices, dried fruits, overly ripe fruits, and processed fruit products that will spike your blood sugar and undermine all your hard work. Now I'm curious, which fruit surprised you the most today? Was it learning that mango can actually help with blood sugar control? Or maybe finding out that those strawberries you've been avoiding are actually anti-inflammatory powerhouses? Or were you shocked to discover that the orange juice you thought was healthy is working against you? Have you been drinking fruit juice every morning thinking you were making a healthy choice? I'd love to hear about your biggest revelation in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's struggling with the same confusion you were dealing with before watching this video. And listen, if this video helped you separate diabetes fact from fiction, if it gave you hope that you can enjoy sweet foods while managing your health, please subscribe to Elderly Healthcare and hit that bell icon. Because what we just covered today is exactly the kind of evidence-based health information I share regularly. Truths that can genuinely transform your golden years instead of limiting them. Too many people are living with unnecessary restrictions and fears about food when they could be living with confidence and enjoyment. I don't want that to be you. Remember, knowledge is your best medicine. You now have the tools to make fruit work for your diabetes management instead of against it. You know which fruits to embrace and which products to avoid. You're not guessing anymore. You're making informed decisions based on real science. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and most importantly, enjoy those sweet victories. Because that's exactly what they are. Victories over fear, over confusion, and over the idea that diabetes has to control your life. You've got this.